Folks, we've enjoyed living here in the province in her little small town, but we're going to have to move. And it's something that was actually factored in to when we moved down here in the first place. And so that's what I'm going to talk about during this video, why we're going to have to move. So I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you're at on this beautiful planet that we call the Earth. It's a beautiful day here in the Philippines. Sunny, breezy, got some clouds rolling in. Just beautiful tropical weather. I know it's probably starting to get cold where most of you are on this beautiful planet. Yeah, we're gonna have to move. Now, let me back up and talk about when we were in Angeles City. It was time for a change. And I know some of you are of the opinion that, hey man, you need to put down some roots, build a house, go that conventional route. If something happens to you, Fatima and the kids have a place. Okay, I got it. I get it. But my mindset is a little bit different in that right now, in this point in time, I like to remain expeditionary. I like to remain expeditionary because we can flex to our situation. If you buy a house or build a house or buy land, especially outside of your home country, that is an anchor. It's an anchor that you are tied to that you will probably never be able to sell, especially if you build it out to like foreign guy types standards. No locals can afford your place unless you just want to give it away. So right now I'm still in an expeditionary mindset because, to be honest with you, do I personally want to be here in this little small town for the rest of my days? And the answer is no. This isn't exactly where I want to be. But I have to factor in what's best for the children, obviously what the old lady wants. And as I am the captain of the ship, I have to steer the ship in the best direction for everybody. So let's back up. When we were in Angeles City, it was time for a change. Fatima hadn't seen her family in years, mostly due to the lockdown, not my doing. Everybody around here pretty much in prison for about 3 years. It's just too much of a risk to travel. You might get stuck at your destination and can't get back. So there was a long time she didn't get to see her family. And obviously, coming down here for a while would allow her to catch up on things with her family, let the children get to know her family, experience village life, which was important to me because me and my buddy have this conversation a lot that if he or I drop dead, a lot of Filipinos are just going home. Unless they've lived in the States for years and they have friends and a driver's license and a job and all that stuff. If you take a Filipina out of the Philippines and move her to the States and a year later you drop dead, there's probably a good chance she's just going to come home. Not everybody. But the point is, with Fatima, she's so shy that even if we move to America, I drop dead, she's probably going to scoop up the kids, get on the next thing smoking back here to the village. She'll come home. That's her personality. It'd be no different if we were living in Manila. So there's a chance that if I don't live to be 107 like I'm planning, the kids may be back down here. This is where they live until, they're old enough to make their own decisions. Since we spent a year, going on, by the time we move, it'll be right at 2 years. The children know how to navigate the village. They know the family. They know this little small town. And so it could sort of be home to them. So if this old guy takes a dirt nap in 2 or 3 years and Fatima scoops everybody up and comes back to the village, it's not foreign to them. It's not like they're, lost their old man and now they're going into a foreign environment. That's not the case. They would just be coming back to the village around people that they already know and that they'll have contact with throughout the rest of their life anyhow. Does that make sense? It wouldn't. If you take a child that's never been to the village, the older they get, the more shocking it's going to be to try to move back into that type of environment, right? It's no different than if a child grows up in LA or New York and for some reason, their parents pass and now they go live with grandma in the backwoods of Mississippi. It's very shocking, taking a city kid and moving them to the country. But if the kid grew up in the country, sort of like me, I grew up on my formative first years on this earth, I was on a dirt road in a single wide trailer. And then I went out from there. The good thing about that is I feel quite at home in a single wide trailer on a dirt road. That's one of the reasons I'm able to adapt and live pretty much in any environment. It doesn't bother me. The $28 beach condo, I was fine there. Okay, now my single wide trailer back in Mississippi was much nicer, but you see my point. I can live in the Taj Mahal or I can live in a tent. But my first years on this earth were in a single wide trailer. It was not the lap of luxury, but I didn't know that. To me it was. So it's easy for me to adapt. And I think that, by letting the children experience a couple years around her family in the village, if they did have to move back there, it wouldn't be shocking. They would just move right back in, go right back to playing, all the cousins and the friends and everything. Whereas if we just stayed in Angeles City till they're 12 or 13 and I get schwacked or something happens to me, it would be challenging for them to move to the village. I hope I explained that. It's probably not very clear. I'd probably lose out in the debate because I took too long to explain that point. But I don't think it was a mistake by coming down here. It was very beneficial to everybody. Because when I was in Angeles City, I had two options that I had on the table. I had narrowed it down to A or B, left or right. Which way you gonna go, Captain? It was here or Baguio. And I really like Baguio for the weather. It's cool up there. Yes, it's crowded. My gosh, it's crowded on the holidays and weekends with the tourists. I get it. It's crowded. People talk about all the air quality's no better than Manila. It's crowded. It's noisy. Hey, you just described pretty much 99% of the Philippines. Everywhere is crowded. This is one of the most densely populated countries on the globe. This is one of the noisiest places I've ever been to. So for somebody to say, oh, it's noisy and it's crowded, well, you need to find another country if those two descriptors you're not okay with. So anyway, I've heard the arguments, oh, Baguio is so crowded. Folks, it's crowded everywhere. But the difference in Baguio is that it's cool. I've been living in the tropics for a long time, and that little bit of change in the lifestyle, well, it'd be a significant change in lifestyle. Instead of walking around in a pair of boxer shorts all day sweating your balls off, you're up there, actually get to put some clothes on and wear a coat, and hell, you can dress up and, enjoy a little bit of fashion. But when you're in the heat, all you're thinking about is, how do I stay cool? And that's a change that I would welcome. It's not like I'm moving to Alaska where there's snow on the ground. It's just that elevation, that little bit of temperature change. I say little bit, it's a significant temperature change. You're going from being balls hot to being cool. Anyhow, so I had two ways to go. I said, we're going to Baguio or we'll go down and live near your village. And folks, the game of life, especially being a parent, there's no playbook. There's no right or wrong. It's not math. It's not numbers. You know, numbers don't lie. You're either right or you're fucking wrong. Pretty much everything else in life is subjective. You know, even English. Yeah, there's some rules, but it's just argued. It's so ambiguous. What's the proper English? What's the proper pronunciation? Y'all ain't really a word. You see what I mean? There's no rule book in this game. If I put a poll up, everybody's not going to agree. The comments on this video, nobody's going to agree. Well, not everybody's going to agree. There's going to be so many differing opinions about what's best. So anyhow, I had two options on the table and decided to just pull the trigger. Okay, look, let's go down to her spot, her hometown. Let's go down there and write our next chapter in this book of life. And so we've been down here over a year now. And so by the time the kids get out of school, almost be 2 years by the time they finish this year. And it's time to go. And again, no regrets. You know, got a lot of footage, a lot of videos, a lot of memories from the village. All that's good stuff. Again, they know grandma, they know the family. The one thing, if you're just joining us, you know, my son is autistic. He has autism. He's on the spectrum. And when we came down here for a recon, for a fact-finding mission, obviously we have to find him a place to go to school. Now in Angeles City, he was going to occupational therapy. We're on a wait list to get him into a speech therapy, to see a speech therapist. But here's some news about the PI in many places. Speech therapists here are like endangered species. It's hard to get your child into speech therapy. In Angeles City, we couldn't do it. There's a wait list. I'm not saying it's the same in Manila, and we actually found some slots in Cebu City, but even in Angeles City, we couldn't get them into speech. Occupational therapy, no problem. So when we came down here, the nearest therapy center is about 30 minutes south of here. But what we did, we found the private school that Maria goes to, and we talked to them about Forest G, and they said, hey, you know, it's pre-K. His first year was pre-kindergarten. And they actually have a class for children younger than that. They have a class for Upal's age, like 3-year-olds. So they said, we'll give it a try. You know, we'll let the mom sit in the classroom and see how he does. So his first year of pre-K, he went to school, and Fatima sat in the classroom. Sometimes Flo would go sit in the classroom, and he did real well. He did real well getting him into the routine of getting up, getting dressed, going to school, structure, line up. You know, it's time to do our activity. It's time for snacks. You know, into the routine of going to school. And so he did real well. So instead of going to occupational therapy and speech therapy, he basically went a half day of school. You know, instead of an hour here or an hour here of therapy, he's going to school for a half day. And at that point, that's what he needed, because his attention span wasn't enough to sit down one-on-one with any type of therapist for any amount of time, because he just didn't have that attention span. And so now he's in kindergarten, and he's continually doing better with the routine, you know, less crying or whining or not being cooperative. He's being more cooperative. He's getting into that routine, and it's really been good for him. But our problem is now next year is coming up on first grade, and they don't have a special education program there. So the problem is, if he comes to first grade, how do you evaluate him? You know, he can't take the test like the other students and get a grade. So what are they going to report to Department of Education, right? And so at this point, you know, in speaking to the principal and everything, you know, everybody's concerned about him, that he needs to get into a SPED program and going forward. So this will be the last year that he can go to his little school over here, which has been wonderful for him. It's been absolutely wonderful. But I understand their position. You know, they don't have a SPED program, so how do we evaluate them? What do we report? He would just be like coming to the class, and how would the paperwork progress with him? I get it. Now the public schools, I guess is pretty much like America. You know, if your child has special needs, they have to accept them. But folks, when you're this far out in the province, and most of the public schools in this country, they don't even have air conditioning in the classrooms. Now, I'm not being the ugly American to say, oh my gosh, I have to have air conditioning, but I'm just using that to demonstrate the lack of resources. Okay, they're doing the best with what they have, but they don't even have a budget to where they can fund air conditioners in the classroom. And so you can imagine how much funding do they have for special education programs. And you see the situation, right? So, being that there's no therapy centers here in this town, the nearest one's 30 minutes down the road, it's time to move to somewhere that has, you know, a private school with a special education program. And therefore, we got to move, because you've got to get around the bigger cities to get those types of resources. So where are we moving to? I don't know yet. The reason I don't know yet is because the first step is finding the school. The first step is finding the school that can offer everything he needs: special education, occupational therapy, speech therapy, getting all of that either in one school or within you know, a reasonable distance of one another. Say he has a SPED program here and he goes to school. Okay, where's the therapy centers? We got to find a place where all that stuff, all those resources are located close together or at the same school. And it's going to boil down to the major cities. We went to Cebu City and checked out a therapy center, and I'll just describe a lot of the therapy centers that we visited here in the Philippines, and one that he used to go to. When you think of therapy center, it's not like in a medical professional building or at the hospital or you know, some office park. It's in a rented house. You know, somebody rents a house, small house, so it maybe has 3 bedrooms. Well, that's 3 classrooms, little tiny rooms, smaller than my little 6x8 office here. And they're crowded. There are more children that need care in this country than there are resources, therapists, and facilities. That's my opinion. So you go to these places, and the one he went to was wonderful, but it's just a little house. It's so crowded in there, it's so cramped. It's just the environment, right? It's not what you envision if you're sitting in the West listening to my voice. So we checked out one in Cebu City, and it was just so crowded. We're like, no, there's no way. This is just, it was absolute chaos. They had so many kids there, and It was a madhouse. So we ruled that out, and I have some more that I've got to visit before we rule out Cebu City as a destination to move to. But that's the big challenge. The big challenge is finding the situation that's right for our son. And wherever we find that, there's obviously going to be private schools that Maria can go to. And the good thing about Maria, folks, she's a social butterfly. And again, I know some of y'all think, oh, you're moving those kids around. They need to put some roots down. Well, it's just a difference of somebody growing up in a small town and never leaving versus, you know, their father's in the military and they've traveled around the world and went to 8 different schools. It's differing opinions. But the good thing about Maria, she is a social butterfly. Okay? She can make friends everywhere and anywhere she goes, and she's actively trying to do that. She's shy when it comes around to like meeting adults and stuff, but you drop her off at a new school, she would love it. Yeah, she would miss her old friends, but she would have a whole set of new friends on day one. And that's the good thing about her. Matter of fact, like one time, trying to use some psychology on her, you know, she was talking too much in class. Look, you know, you need to settle down. Don't be talking so much in class. You know, you may have to go to the public school next year. You know, if you don't quieten down in class. That doesn't work on her. She's like, really? Which one? How many kids they got? I mean, so she will adapt to anywhere we go. No problem picking her up, uprooting her. I think every kid in the school knows Maria. We go up and down this road and everybody's like, Maria, and she's waving, hey, you know, Jomar, hey. She knows everybody. And that's the good thing with her. And that's why I don't feel at all apprehensive or guilty about picking up and moving. She's fine with it. She thrives on it. She loves going new places and meeting new people. What's funny is, you know, Fatima does not, but anyhow. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at. That's why we were going to move away from this little small town to get somewhere for the next school year to set Forrest G up with everything that he needs, because he's at that level now where it will actually benefit him. And again, before it just wouldn't. He was doing real well at one center with like physical activity. He had a young therapist, a young dude that was very active, but everything they were doing with him was activities, you know, action type stuff. You know, going over this obstacle course, taking the letter A, running through the obstacle course, putting it over here, following instructions. I mean, it was like an hour-long aerobic workout for him. And he did well with that. But again, at that point in his life, sitting down one-on-one with any type of therapist, he just didn't have the attention span. So that's how the 2 years of going to this little school has really helped him out with routine and paying attention and knowing when to sit down and knowing when to be quiet, you know, knowing when to line up. Now we're ready for the next step to go forward and do greater things. So there you go. That's our update. We'll probably stick it out to the end of the school year. So next summer we'll be moving. Where to? At this point, destination unknown, my friends. That's sort of the excitement in it. I got plenty of time to search, do my research, go do site visits, do recons, figure out where we're going. And once we find the school situation and lock that down, I mean, it's easy to find a place. It's not a big deal. And I promise Fatima, well, in the past, you know, the way I move is I've issued warning orders the night before. Literally, like on a Thursday, you know, I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about moving. We're thinking about moving to Angeles City. Then in the morning I wake up, I'll be like, yeah, pack it up, we're moving. And we move the next day. And if you're always have a light loadout, I mean, all your gear is light. I mean, when we were moving around at that point, all our stuff would fit in John Paul's van. We just called John Paul, threw the stuff in the van, we moved. Obviously, we've got a lot more stuff here that we've accumulated and bought, but it'll just get shifted over to the village. But I promise, Fatima, I'm not going to give you a 24-hour warning order before we execute and move. I'm giving you months' notice that at the end of the school year, we're moving. So we've got several months to shift this stuff over to the village. It's not going to be a big deal. By the time we move, everybody will have 2 suitcases. We'll get on that ferry or get in the van, wherever we're going. Everybody got 2 suitcases and we'll roll out, start over. Not start over. You say start over, but it's really just continue living life. I know this hurricane just hit Florida, and the hurricane tore up North Carolina. And I'm going to talk about that in a separate video, but I have a close family member that was in Asheville when the hurricane hit, and is very lucky to be alive. But the point I want to bring up is, you know, when people lose their homes and all of their belongings, it's so detrimental to people in the West. Most people in the West that are trying to keep up with the Joneses, right? In the rat race. I worked all my life for all this stuff, and now it's gone. What am I going to do? Meanwhile, the last I saw, there's 100 bodies in that river that they've marked. 100 dead people. Is it over 200? Material things, folks. Yeah, you have to have certain material things to live life, but they mean nothing. As long as I have me and my family together and everybody's healthy and they're not starving or, you know, looking for their next meal, as long as we're together and we got food and a roof over our head and we're not in some damn war zone where bombs are dropping on our head, that's all that matters. That's really all that matters. I would not cry over my damn house getting swept down the river as long as me and my kids are safe. How about that? Look at that motherfucker go. God damn, that thing is fast. Wow. Look at that. As long as we're safe. And anybody who lost their life or got injured, they trade places with you as long as you're safe. And the only thing you lost was your house, and all you lost was your house and your cars and shit. They trade places with you. I don't know. That's a big long diatribe. Is that the word? Big long tirade. I'm just not teaching my kids that home is a physical building or furniture or anything of that nature. Home is where we are as long as we're all together and we're okay. That's where home is. Home is when we gather in this little room right here and my 2 kids jump up in this little cheap easy chair and we watch a movie or a camping video or a cartoon or what have you. That's home. Has no bearing on the geographic location, the city we're in, the fucking building that we're in, has no bearing. Home is when we're sitting here together, chilling, eating, sitting at the dinner table, Don't matter where that dinner table is located or what type of structure it's in. Doesn't matter if we're sitting here or we're sitting over in the village on that bamboo bench that the goats shit on and we're sitting there eating. That's home. Home is being around family. That's it. Everything else, every other inanimate object, pretty much zero sentimental value to. So if a typhoon took everything away here today, but as long as me and my kids and the old lady are safe, I'll make it. I will fucking rebuild. I would, if it took all my cameras and everything, I go buy the cheapest damn cell phone that I can find, start making videos and hit upload. I'll come back. I'll survive. So there you go. Not emotional about moving. I'm actually looking forward to it. Looking forward to moving somewhere where I can get a damn pizza delivered again on Grab. Man, once a week, get a damn Big Mac sent to us on Grab. Simple things in life. Make sure I move next to a damn Fresh Options where I can get me some good pork steaks too. And some boneless chicken. My goodness. Next time I'm able to go into a Fresh Options, I'm gonna buy every damn piece of boneless chicken they got. I'm gonna make my General Tso's chicken. I'm gonna make a batch. It's so big we can't even eat it all. I have to give it away. I might even go back to drinking beer. Get me some damn good German wheat beer. Expeditionary. Nothing wrong with being expeditionary. All these preppers in the U.S. putting $100,000 worth of soup in their basement, which is heavy. The minute the wolf comes knocking, you're going to displace. If bombs start dropping, you're going to displace. If the conditions are unfavorable, you're going to displace. And how many cans of soup can you carry in a backpack or in a car or on a motorcycle, however the hell you're getting out of there? Humans are naturally expeditionary and migratory in nature, flexing to the environment. I'm a hunter-gatherer, moving somewhere where I can get fresh damn broccoli at the market every day. That's enough. I'm out of here. Thanks for listening.